Hello! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bookmakers Reviews coverage of the Premier League. It's been a fascinating, injury-ravaged, COVID-ravaged Christmas period in the Premier League. The table's shaping up with Man City 8 points clear of Chelsea at the top, and Liverpool lost to Leicester, Matt, and they're now 9 points behind. Must be a pretty sad week for a Liverpool fan.
That is why I have the jersey on, Martin, because it's time they need a little extra boost. Really unexplainable things, that happened at the King Power against Leicester. It was, Salah misses a penalty, saved, and then, goes off the bar on the rebound, and just things didn't bounce well for them in that game. And credit to Leicester. I mean, they finally defended for the first time in 2 months, and they could have possibly stopped the title race or the challenge from, and that really stinks, I think, too, for us as well, Martin, because I just, not for being a Liverpool fan, but just for being any fan in this league, I think you want to see, it go all the way. You want to be pushed, and I really think that it comes down kind of to this week. Whoever can grab all 3 points, they really can't be a draw in Chelsea-Liverpool. Someone needs to grab all three, and maybe then they still are in it and still have a slight chance.
Yeah, it just shows you how difficult this sports betting racket is, really, doesn't it? When if you look at any trend, you watch Leicester play for the entire season, they concede goals like it's going out of fashion, and then suddenly they keep a clean sheet against Liverpool, the top scoring team in the Premier League. Just a freak result that nobody really could have predicted. I think it probably busted a lot of coupons, and yeah, very disappointing for Liverpool, but great news for Leicester, who are up to the giddy heights of 9th in the table. We will move on to them a little bit later, but first up we have Arsenal Football Club versus Manchester City. And Arsenal are on a 4-game winning streak. They're up to 4th now, but they're coming up against Man City, who are on a 9-game winning streak. As I mentioned, 8 points clear of Chelsea now, 9 points clear of Liverpool, although Liverpool do have a game in hand, which we'll get onto them later. This is a fixture that Man City have absolutely dominated. They won 5-0 when these teams met earlier in the season. They've won their last 9 Premier League games in a row against Arsenal. And Mikel Arteta is going to miss out because he has COVID, so he's not going to be on the touchline. So things aren't looking great for the Gunners, Matt. Do you think there's anything that could stop Man City getting a 10th straight win?
I mean, I think that if there's about anyone in this league, I think I mentioned it last week on the show, Martin, is that Arsenal at the right time can beat and challenge with anyone in this league. And it's just the City head-to-heads are what really throw me off here. I mean, they've dominated the Gunners, and I've got my Liverpool jersey on, Martin. You've got your Arsenal jersey on. Like, would I love nothing more than for my bet to basically be ripped out of my heart because I'm going with City? But I would love to see Arsenal take all 3 points, Liverpool beat Chelsea, and then this thing is all the way back on just like that. But not something that I just would predict with my money. And yeah, so I'm going with City in a parlay. I think that also maybe look towards City and under 4.5 here around evens. I mean, those are the best looks. Don't complicate it, or go City and unders, under 3.5 or 4.5, just because we saw how tight they kept it at Brentford. We know last season they were under machines. It's whenever they feel like turning up. That's the only problem with City, is if they want to put 5 past you and make a statement, they can. But generally, it's controlled. They score and then they control.
Yeah, the problem for all of Man City's rivals, I think, is just the sheer squad depth that Man City have at their disposal. I mean, they left Raheem Sterling, Ilkay Gundogan, Alexander Zinchenko, and Riyad Mahrez all on the bench for that win against Brentford in midweek. They left out Foden and Grealish for the previous game. They just bring in these world-class players with totally fresh legs, which is just crucial at busy times in the fixture list, like right now. And Yeah, there just seems to be a bit of an inevitability for me about Man City marching towards yet another Premier League title. Would love to see Liverpool challenge them and make it a two-horse race in the final stages of the season, but it's looking pretty ominous for their rivals right now. I've gone for both teams to score and over 2.5 goals as my pick for this one, just because I think Arsenal have been pretty strong going forwards recently. I did put this through before watching Man City's controlled 1-0 victory over Brentford last night. I'd probably change it now. I just can't really see any way in which Man City don't win this. I'd look at maybe Man City to win an over 2.5 goals. I think there could be goals in this one, but Man City and under 4.5 looks good as well. I think Man City go there, get the job done, unfortunately. Okay, next up we have a resurgent Leicester coming up against Norwich. What do you think, Matt? Do you think they keep the run going against the league's worst team?
I think so. I mean, there's a lot of problems that are going on right now against Leicester, but this one is at home and they're playing against Norwich, who are just in such poor form and conceding 3 goals to Crystal Palace, and now you're getting a better offense here with Leicester. So, I believe that Leicester win this match. I just really didn't complicate it. I went with City and Leicester in a 2-teamer. And in this one, if I'm looking at a singles, and so that 2-teamer pays plus 115. But if I'm looking at a single bet here, it's probably finding a way to get Leicester and goals involved over 1.5. I mean, Norwich generally concede more than 1. They could, and the thing is Norwich could score here. I like the overs in this match as well. But the over 2.5 isn't a great price, so you might need to stretch it to 2.75. I could see Norwich scoring here, to be honest with you, because Leicester's defense still, I don't trust it. Even keeping a clean sheet against Liverpool doesn't really make me want to bet on their defense, really. So I think that this one ends. I think this is a 2-1. I think this is a 2-1 exacta, Martin.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't think I've ever been so comfortable watching an Arsenal match as that 5-0 victory over Norwich on Boxing Day. They just offered such little threat going forwards. They play the ball down the corners, down the flanks sometimes for Timu Pukki to chase, but no creativity, no poise in the final third. I thought they were desperately, desperately poor. Dean Smith did initially galvanise them after taking over, but they've gone 5 games without scoring now, 5 defeats in a row. They're rock bottom of the table, whereas Leicester have been terrific at home. They beat Newcastle 4-0, just beat a very, very strong Liverpool team with a bit of a tactical masterclass, really, from Brendan Rodgers when he put Ademola Lookman in there. I just think it's all pointing towards a pretty comfortable win for Leicester. They've also got depth in attack. They can shuffle their pack with Iheanacho to come in and Vardy. So I've gone for Leicester minus 1.25. I think they can win this one by 2 clear goals. Next up, we have Watford versus Spurs. And I must say, I don't really like this one. I know Tottenham are unbeaten in their last 5 games under Antonio Conte, but it was a bit of a underwhelming performance, drawing 1-1 with 10 men Southampton last time out. And I think Watford are a bit unpredictable. I know they've lost 5 in a row, but I still think they have it in them to pull off a shock result like that thrashing they had at Everton. So I've left it alone. Have you found any value on this one, Matt?
The Spurs 1-1 draw really hurt me. I had a big parlay at 28-1 that I hedged it, luckily, so I still won like a good amount, but it still just wasn't that full win that would have been really big. So just that Kane offsides by a pinky toe, that really hurt. But so I mean, here you're looking at Watford. They kind of remind me a little bit of Norwich, but they're scoring. I think that they're going down. They're able to score goals. Dennis is fantastic. Dennis as an anytime goal scoring bet. He's always around like 250, plus 250, plus 270. He has been the best signing of the season at £3.5 million for Watford, but it just hasn't been enough. I like goals here, Martin. Watford can't keep clean sheets. I think that Spurs could score, 3 on their own. I mean, this could look like maybe it's a Spurs and and over 2.5, something like that. Spurs and over 1.5. I don't know. It just it makes sense to me though to get with Spurs, but not at the money line price currently, but just trying to change it. And I think that there's goals here. Watford they concede far too many.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's worrying for Watford, Matt. We've got the Africa Cup of Nations coming up, and a lot of Premier League teams are going to miss players, as you know. Salah and Mane are going. But Watford are going to lose Ismail Assar and Emmanuel Dennis, who are their two best forwards. I mean, they are both quality players. You do not want to be without them. Plus Peter Itobo, Adam Messina. They've got 5 players going off to the AFCON. And some of their relegation rivals don't have anyone going. I mean, Newcastle and Norwich have got nobody going. Spurs haven't got anyone there, I don't think. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty worrying, isn't it? They're odds on now to be relegated along with Norwich. So,
yeah, I think it is. And now, Martin, I can use the excuse this season of the AFCON.
Yes.
Liverpool didn't win. And I'm going to bust it out now.
Yeah, Man City have only got Mahrez going.
Yeah, that's just
Chelsea will be missing their goalkeeper Mendy for however long Senegal stay in things. I can use the same thing as well. Thomas Partey is going to be going. The mighty Nicolas Pepe, the legend that is Mohamed El Neni. I mean, how are we supposed to win the Premier League title without Mohamed El Neni for 3 weeks? It's just ludicrous. So there you go. Next up, we have Crystal Palace versus West Ham United. Fun fact for you here, Matt. Both teams to score has paid off in the last 9 games between these teams. 2-2 earlier this season. They love getting involved in goal fests. Do you have anything for this one?
That sounds good to me. I mean, these two teams are very competitive. I think is Zaha. I was looking at the yellow cards. I think Zaha has now served his suspension, or was that it was a straight red, so he's still out, I believe. I think he's still out, but yeah. And this one, I like being with West Ham, but they are on the road, and it's a bit tricky. But I liked what I saw from them. They finally bounced back, and they were clinical against Watford. I mean, just at least getting to play. In one of those matches where everyone can score is always a nice confidence booster, I think. And I mean, Souček was in; he had a great goal. With no Zaha, I would never really want to bet on Palace on the money line. I mean, I had them in the parlay against Norwich, but this is a little different. What do you have on a price, Martin, of both teams to score? Because I mean, that does sound pretty appetizing.
I think if you shop around, you can get it for about 10 to 13. So what does that work out as?
-1.
10 to 13, that is 1.76. So yeah, you're looking at like -130, -131. That appeals when you consider that both teams the score generally pays off when these teams play. I know that Zaha's missing, which is a worry. Apparently Conor Gallagher's going to miss out. I don't know why. No reason given, but he's not going to play.
That's a concern. That's a concern because they did just beat Norwich, Martin, with that second squad essentially, but this is completely different.
Yeah, and Michael Elise, Eberechi Eze, all their like dynamic playmakers, if you will, are missing, which is worrying. But West Ham have not been keeping clean sheets recently. West Ham have got 1 clean sheet in their last 8 games. Crystal Palace have got 1 clean sheet in their last 8 games. I think they're both going to concede in this game, even with the players that Crystal Palace have got missing. So both teams to score looks good. I've doubled it up. I've gone both teams to score with West Ham draw double chance at +125, which I like.
I love that. I think that's the best. Yeah, that's a good angle. I was thinking about possibly maybe you could stretch it on the overs, both teams to score an over. I think that West Ham find a winner here. I think that BTTS and West Ham to win on the road. Without Gallagher, he's been one of the star players of the season, Martin. I mean, I think that Chelsea are definitely bringing him back. And so without him, without Zaha, this definitely isn't Norwich. This is a good West Ham team. Yes, they're without Zuma, which is a slight concern, but I think that they'll find a way.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Conor Gallagher, isn't it? Chelsea seem to have a lot of players like that, like Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Callum Hudson-Odoi and stuff. Talented youngsters that, could thrive when they go out on loan. But it's very difficult to get into the Chelsea team. I mean, if they decide to cash in on Gallagher, he'll be a hot property in the summer. Anyway, if they don't keep him. Next up, we have Brentford versus Aston Villa. Very disciplined performance from Brentford last night, but didn't create much, didn't have a shot on target in the second half, and Man City deserved the win in the end. They're coming up against the Villa team that were ultimately overpowered by Chelsea in the second half of their match. I'm not sure if Gerrard's going to be back. He has COVID, doesn't he? So I'm not sure if he's going to be on the touchline, which is a bit concerning. But yeah, I think Villa have got better players than Brentford, Matt. What do you think?
I think so too. I think that when you look at the 11s, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to lineup check this one, and I could see myself getting on a Villa draw no bet angle, but I do know that Mings is out due to suspension, and that's the reason that I've really held off for now, is because I love their back 4/back 5. They have so much continuity back there with Mings and Konsa and Target and Cash, and I love those. Like, I like betting on their back 4 because I just think that they make it difficult. I think that when teams do score, that then they fully deserve it going up against that back 4, and then getting past Emi Martinez is no easy task. So I just want to see who they kind of slot in there in the center back role. Brentford at home has been pretty strong this season, and maybe they can conjure up something here. So yeah, just a lineup check for me.
Yeah, they've got that Courtney Howes guy, haven't they? Maybe he'll go in there, or Axel Twanzebe, maybe. But yeah, it's not
Safety, yeah,
not great to be missing Tyrone Mings when he has to, formed a pretty strong partnership with Konsa. I've still gone for Villa draw no bet. Brentford, they haven't won in 3 games. Villa have also had a bit of a longer rest because. They played Chelsea on Boxing Day. They haven't played since. Brentford played last night, and they were chasing shadows throughout that game. I mean, it required intense concentration, physical and mental energy to keep up with Man City for that whole 90 minutes. And I think they could be a little bit drained. So I see Villa getting a draw at least there. Okay. Next up, we have the mighty Saints coming up against Newcastle United. Newcastle must have busted everyone's parlay, Matt, with that draw against Man United. Oh, what happened there?
They were the better side. Simply as that, they were better than Manchester United on that day. But something happened at the end of that match, Martin, that now makes me want to turn the other cheek, really, and bet against them here. And Alan St. Maximum, I don't think he's going to feature here. It looked like he pulled a hamstring, and that is not ideal, Martin. We've talked about him for a few years now. When Newcastle don't have Alan St. Maximum in the lineup, they really will struggle. It's going to be the Joe Linton and Almiron show because I think Callum Wilson got injured as well. So
Wilson's out for the season or something. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So it's really a big problem now for Newcastle, and they're looking at buying all of these players in January, and how are they going to keep, like, this could end up being a huge mess. So I'm here for it, Martin. I want to see what happens here in January with what they decide to do with the transfer market. But I think that Saints with James Ward-Prowse picking passes, I think that they'll be able to. I think they'll be able to do it here, really. I think they'll be able to beat Newcastle. I think it won't be easy, but they are at home. It's at St. Mary's. They've been competitive recently. I mean, when you're looking at some of their results, I mean, 1-1, they have a red card, an unfortunate red card against Spurs. And they were also competitive. They beat West Ham 3-2, draw 2-2 with Palace. I mean, I think that those teams are on a different level than where Newcastle sit right now. And so, yeah, I'm playing the Saints on the money line. And another player that I really am starting to love, Martin, is this Broja, Armando Broja.
Yeah.
He's also a Chelsea loanee as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Or did they? I don't know if he's on loan or is he permanent?
I think he's on loan, but I hope that Southampton made him permanent because I think this kid looks really, really good. He's like 20 years old. He's really strong and he's got a ton of pace. I hope that he starts from the very first minute. They brought him off the bench, which I didn't understand against Spurs, and he almost scored against when they only had 10 men. So he's one to keep in mind for anytime goal scorers. I think that he's still pretty underrated towards the market. If he starts, leads the line, I think that he'll probably score.
Yeah, I mean, next season you'd probably rather have Broja, and Conor Gallagher instead of like Timo Werner and Saul Niguez. I'd rather take those two talented youngsters and ship out some of the deadwood that they've got in that Chelsea squad because they have got some terrific youngsters. I'm totally with you on the Southampton win here, Matt. Moneyline odds are okay. I think you can get like -145, something like that. Throw in an under 4.5 goals if you want a bit more value. I didn't put this through as my official picks when I delivered them yesterday because I didn't quite realise the extent of Newcastle's injury crisis. Fernandes is injured, Manquillo's suspended, so Kieran Clark is out, so the defence is ravaged. Richie, Fraser, Willock, St Maximan, Hayden, Jamal Lewis, they're all out. The midfield's gone. Your striker, Callum Wilson's missing. Yeah, Joe Linton's been pretty good since he's dropped into midfield, but he's not a good centre forward. If he's leading the line with Almer on, that's lightweight. They haven't got a team. I mean, they're going to need to spend a fortune in January because everyone's missing. That is a brutal injury list for them. And Southampton, good club, good team, decent players, should easily be good enough to win this game. So I am with you all the way. Southampton.
I smell some banker material here, Martin, with all those injuries. And I think that somebody like James Ward-Prowse, he is in great form right now. All set pieces he'll make it life difficult for Newcastle. He'll be able to find Broja on the break, little things like that. He's the player that has to step up and win this game for Southampton. And I think he will because I think he's a really quality player.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you consider all the defensive injuries they've got, they should be conceding fouls around the box, which is where he comes into his own, isn't it? Either direct free kicks or just putting it on a plate for his teammates. So, yeah, looks great. Got to go for the Southampton win here. Next up, Leeds versus Burnley. This is a difficult one, Matt, because we know that Burnley are playing tonight, aren't they, against Man United? So we don't quite know what we're going to get from them. I've actually gone for, I think I gave Burnley like a plus 1.25 handicap or something. I think they'll keep it very competitive against Man United tonight, who are very underwhelming against Newcastle. But, I mean, without knowing what's going to happen in this game against Man United, who do you think comes out on top? The raw physicality of Burnley or the counter-attacking, exciting but naive Leeds?
This is one that I remember last year betting on and winning with Leeds. I think they beat them home and away last season, Martin. They really found their footing against Burnley, but there's problems now. There's major problems. They just don't have the squad depth. Leeds need to buy in January. I think out of any club, they could turn their fortunes around probably quicker than just about anyone towards the bottom area right now in the table. But it looks like Bamford was 50-50 yesterday when I was looking at it, maybe even at 75%. Jack Harrison currently being assessed. He looks like he's going to go. It looks like Firpo suspended, Cooper's out. And when Leeds don't have Calvin Phillips, I'm really not interested because he does it all for this team. I mean, he is, England's best defensive midfielder, and It's just really as simple as that. So I don't want to get involved. This was a quick swerve. I wish that Leeds were at full strength because I would bet on them, but they're not. And so I just pass it.
Injuries are just getting ridiculous, aren't they? I mean, it was very profitable to bet against Leeds in previous weeks because they just had so many people missing. And still, yeah, Bamford's a doubt, Liam Cooper's out, Calvin Phillips is out, Rodrigo's out. They got no defence once again and no attack. All their defenders and all their forwards are either missing or hobbling on one leg. It just, yeah, it's no good for them. No good for anyone. It seems like they just need to put the Premier League on pause for a few weeks and let everyone recover. But they're probably not going to do that. Nah, pass. Best thing to do here, pass. Next up, Everton versus Brighton. Welbs. What a header from Welbs in stoppage time at the end of that Chelsea game. Wow, Brighton finally picked up a win against Brentford. Big result last night against Chelsea. Do you reckon they can go up to Everton, to Goodison Park, and beat another injury-ravaged team in Everton?
Yeah, like you mentioned, Martin, Welbs with the thundering coupon buster. That was pretty, what a header that was. But they deserved it. They were all over them in the second half. And this line to me, Martin, does not make sense. Why are Everton favorites here? That's the first thing that I was looking at, scratching my head at. Why are Everton favorites? Just because they're at Goodison? I mean, come on. There's no Richarlison. It looks like Calvert-Lewin might be ready to go. I don't think that means that he's just going to start, though, and get 90 minutes. I mean, there's no way. I think that if maximum he gets 60, and most likely he gets 30 coming off the bench.
Yeah. It would be irresponsible to start Calvert-Lewin after such a long time out in this game. You've got to bring him on as a second half sub.
I agree. And this one the line doesn't make any sense to me. So I gobbled up Brighton plus a quarter at minus 125. It looks like, the line is still there with me. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive now at minus 130. But if you shop around, you'll be able to find that number. I think that I'm getting the better side, a team that creates more chances, and just in general. I mean, when you look at their offense and their creativity, it is so much stronger than Everton's, and I think that they just have goal scorers in their lineup when Everton really don't. They might be able to get back. Well, Maupay looks good. See, here's the other thing too, is like there's a couple little injury infos that you've got to pay attention to in this one, but I still think the plus quarter is a good way to look no matter what. But Trossard, I think, is going to end up being back for this game, so that's a big addition for Brighton because I think he's their best player. So, I just don't understand why Everton are really warranted as favorites.
No, it doesn't make a great deal of sense. I know they've had longer to rest and they did get that win against Arsenal at Goodison, but you look at the injuries they've got and you think about the form that Brighton are in right now. I'm with you. I'm with Brighton. Brighton plus a quarter of a goal looks great. Okay, the biggest game of the weekend. It has to be, much as I think Arsenal Man City is a pretty big game too. This is, like you said, this is not last chance saloon. That's a bit extreme, but Chelsea versus Liverpool. Like you said, neither can really afford to draw this game. I know it was a 1-1 draw earlier this season. Reece James handballed, didn't he, on the stroke of half time? Liverpool dominated after the break, couldn't find a breakthrough. I mean, we've mentioned all the injuries that everyone has. I mean, did you hear Tuchel's post-match interview yesterday saying all the players that have got COVID, all the players that are going to be missing for this game? They're missing a lot of defenders, and you don't want to be missing a lot of defenders when you're playing against Liverpool. So I'm leaning towards Liverpool, but I'll let you take it away, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much win or go home in a sense for the league. I think that you must grab all three here if you're Liverpool and if you're Chelsea. I mean, both teams have got to go for this because a draw doesn't suit either of them. I think it's and I could definitely, I mean, a draw is extremely likely with the way that Chelsea set up. But let's be honest, Martin. I mean, Chelsea over the last 3 weeks have been poor.
Yeah.
I know that what really stinks is, Liverpool getting a couple COVID cases. They had been so great about not getting COVID, and then Van Dijk gets it, misses the Spurs match, and they drop points. And then he comes back in, and a couple players come back in, and we drop points again. And that really stinks because this title challenge to me was setting up to be the best in many, many seasons. And it looks like it's gone. But I think that Liverpool back to front are the stronger team in this one. I really do. I think that maybe you could give them, a slight edge at the goalkeeping position. And maybe Lukaku up top, he can always cause some problems. And, I guess Conte, but he doesn't look himself. He looks a little bit injured to me. They haven't been giving him that many minutes. I don't know. This is Liverpool draw no bet for me. It has to be. I just think that they're better, and I think that their offense is clearly better than Chelsea's. They will create more opportunities. That I'm almost certain of, and so I'll go with the team that I think is going to create a far more amount of chances.
Yeah, under normal circumstances, there might not be a great deal of difference between the two teams. Chelsea, European champions, but it's just the injuries that they have. Christensen and Reece James limped off during that 1-1 draw with Brighton.
That's a big blow. Big blow.
Big blow, isn't it? Thiago Silva's already out. So who have you got? You've got Rudiger, Azpilicueta. Chalobah, is he fit? I don't know. But yeah, you're down to the bare bones. They don't have a left back because Chilwell's out for the season. So Reece James is playing on the left. I guess you could bring in Alonso, but
Alonso's going to come in.
Against Alexander-Arnold's pace, that doesn't really, that doesn't fill me with a great deal of confidence. Kante's their best player for me, and like you said, he's carrying a knock. He got a knee injury. He's still playing, but he's not his 100% self charging around the pitch and making things happen. So I'm with you there. I think Liverpool draw no bet looks good. I put through both teams to score and under 5.5 goals as my tip. I still think Chelsea can get on the score sheet because Liverpool have been conceding. But yeah, I'd maybe be looking at Liverpool draw no bet as well. I think that might be a better play. I think they get something out of this one. Okay, final game, Manchester United versus Wolves. Don't know what's going to happen with Man United tonight. Very difficult to call. We're just going to pass it, Matt, or have you got anything to add on this one?
I just passed it. And there's a few Wolves, injuries and things. Wolves are a clear team right now to me, Martin, that you have to wait almost and check some lineups, and maybe you do get slightly worse of a price, but as long as you're checking all of your bases, they're still a good team to bet on. But they just have a lot of little injuries, just like everyone else in this league right now, Martin. But yeah, and United haven't played yet. I do want to see if they can bounce back against Burnley. So I would probably lean towards Wolves here. I would give Wolves a head start on an Asian handicap if I had to play it today, Martin.
Yeah, sounds good. I'd probably go for like under 2.5 goals or something. This just does not look like an entertaining.
Oh, yeah. That too, because you mentioned United and unders, and that was a clear unders match, Martin, with Rangnick. I think that today could be unders. I agree. I think that United might have just turned a corner into a more compact, team. But gosh, their front line looks so strong. So it feels risky to take unders still with them. But I think that is the right play when you look at Rangnick and what he wants to do.
It does just feel like if they're going to win, they need to keep a clean sheet because they only look like scoring 1 goal per game. They only got 1 against Norwich, 1 against Palace, 1 against Newcastle. That's 3 of them.
That's terrible.
In the league. And as soon as St Maximin scored that goal, you think, oh god, this is gonna bust the coupons. They're not going to get 2 here. That's why, I think Burnley have got a good chance tonight. Fernandes suspended, Pogba out. I think they're not looking great. They're not looking great. Plus 125 on Arsenal to finish above Man United this season.
That's a good one. That right there, Martin, is it's such a good bet. I don't know who will take that one. That one is really fine margins.
Yeah, I don't know. At the start of the season, obviously, you say Man United finished well clear of them, but on recent evidence, it's not looking great. But I'll go over to the Wizard, please. If you could bring up our official plays. think we've added a few over the course of the show, but we'll tell you what we sent through. So I went for both teams to score an over 2.5 goals in that Arsenal-Man City game. I'm now just more inclined to go for Man City to win an over 2.5 goals. Leicester minus 1.25 on the Asian handicap at minus 109 against Norwich. West Ham and the draw double chance and both teams to score at plus 125. Villa draw no bet at minus 130. Chelsea, Liverpool, both teams to score in under 5.5 goals. But I also do just like Liverpool draw no bet. And I have to add in a Southampton win against just an injury-ravaged team there. So I'm throwing in Southampton too.
Yep. Southampton, I think that looks like the best bet. It's in the prices, I think that's one that you want to get in sooner rather than later because the injuries are out there. The info is out there. There shouldn't be too many surprises. So, Southampton on the money line, Brighton plus a quarter. Just didn't understand why Everton were favorites, really, even at home. Liverpool draw no bet on the road. Come on, Liverpool. And then Leicester and Man City, 2-team parlay at plus 115. I really do hate to go against the Gunners because I think that I think it's going to be really competitive. I think this is going to be the most competitive that Arsenal have been versus City in a long time, but I feel like I've said that before, Martin.
Indeed. All right, great. Thanks, Matt, and thank you to the Wizard. That's been our Premier League rundown. So we will be back in 25 minutes with La Liga Primera, which is also taking place this weekend. No Serie A or Bundesliga this week because they're still on their winter break. But yeah, please join us in about 25 minutes for La Liga Primera. Hope you all have a great weekend. Lots of winners in the Premier League, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Matt. Take care.